Why does it seem like everything is high in histamine, according to one list or another? This video goes over the 5 reasons for which a food may be considered high in histamine and why so many low histamine food lists seem to contradict each other. The written version of this video is on my site, linked in the description, but let's get into it.
Hi, this is Max from lowhistamineeats.com, where we make and share histamine-friendly recipes.
A good way to ease into a low histamine diet is to start by eliminating the worst culprits, those foods which most directly raise your histamine levels, also called high histamine foods. And just a quick reminder, I am not a doctor, so this video is provided for information only. Keep in mind that every body is different, and some people will tolerate different foods than you. Please keep the comment section respectful. Most histamine food lists out there just dictate what to eat and what to avoid, but rarely do they dig into why there are so many high histamine foods out there. The secret is, most of what we label as high histamine foods are actually directly low in histamine, but they have other characteristics that may make them trigger reactions in some people with histamine issues. This is actually good news for you. It means that even after a couple of weeks on the diet, you may be able to start reintroducing some high histamine foods if you discover the root cause of your histamine intolerance. This is true as long as you stick to the basic rules of a low histamine diet: fresh or frozen foods only, and no leftovers unless they were quickly frozen after cooking. If you don't follow these rules, bacteria can affect foods in ways that make this complex diet even more complicated. So, assuming you're eating fresh foods beyond those with the highest histamine levels directly, namely anything fermented, let's dig into 4 other types of foods that can raise or abnormally sustain your body's histamine levels. On my site, you can find a much more in-depth high histamine foods list, which explicitly notes the reason or reasons why each food is considered high histamine. But looking at it directly, these are the 5 reasons. They actually contain high levels of histamine. These are typically foods that have undergone processes like aging, fermentation, or spoilage. Examples include aged cheeses, fermented products like sauerkraut and kimchi, and certain types of fish, such as mackerel and sardines. These foods naturally accumulate histamine over time, and consuming them can directly increase the histamine levels in your body. They contain high levels of other biogenic amines. Other biogenic amines, such as tyramine, putrescine, and cadaverine, can also be found in foods that are aged, fermented, or improperly stored, like spinach, tomatoes, and all sorts of leftovers. If present in high enough amounts, these amines can compete with histamine for degradation by the DAO enzyme, which breaks down most of the histamine in the gut. This can lead to an accumulation of histamine and worsening symptoms. They maintain existing histamine levels or prevent the clearing of histamine by DAO. Certain foods and medications can inhibit the activity of DAO. Caffeine and alcohol, for example, both block DAO activity, which prevents the clearing of histamine from the body, prolonging high histamine symptoms in some people. They theoretically release histamine from other foods, or so-called histamine liberators. Some foods are thought to act as histamine liberators, meaning they can theoretically cause the release of histamine from the body's mast cells, beyond a typical allergy. Common examples include pineapple, strawberries, and certain shellfish, though the exact mechanism is not fully understood and remains unproven. They cause intestinal inflammation or increase intestinal permeability. Foods that increase intestinal inflammation can exacerbate or worsen histamine intolerance by allowing more histamine from foods to enter the bloodstream. Inflammatory foods like gluten, processed sugar, and certain food additives can irritate the gut lining, leading to a condition known as leaky gut and potentially triggering systemic reactions. With these 5 reasons in mind, here are the highest histamine foods to avoid in each major dietary category. Grains and starches, bleached flours, cocoa powder, frozen meals, wheat, and other gluten-containing foods, as well as prepackaged dessert mixes. Vegetables, fermented vegetables, as well as eggplant, green beans, mushrooms, peas, spinach, soybeans, and tomatoes. Fruits, avocados, ripe bananas, commercial jams, most dried fruits, grapefruit, olives, oranges, papaya, pineapple, and strawberries. dairy and dairy substitutes, hard cheeses, kefir, preserved cheeses, raw milk, sour creams, and commercially bought yogurts. Proteins, aged and cured meats, most fish, Impossible burgers, commercial ground meats, processed meats, seitan, shellfish, soy-based foods, and uncooked egg whites. Fats and oils, canola oil, corn oil, soy oil, fats with added color or flavor, hydrogenated oils, margarine, Ready Whip, safflower oil, and shortening. Nuts, seeds, and legumes. Canned beans and legumes, peanuts, soybeans, tofu, cashews, and walnuts. Herbs, spices, and flavorings. Anise, chili powder and cayenne, cloves, curry powder, MSG, nutmeg, smoked paprika, and seasoning packets. Sweeteners. Artificial sweeteners, candies, corn syrup, frosting, refined sugar, and sugar alcohols. And finally, miscellaneous, which includes artificial colors and flavors, alcohol, store-bought bone broth, caffeine, carob, carrageenan, maltodextrin, dark and milk chocolates, citric acid, store-bought condiments like ketchup, as well as pickles, soy sauce, most vinegars, and xanthan gum. Once you figure out why you're so sensitive to histamine, you may find that you're able to reintroduce certain foods more quickly, and even eventually ease off of a low histamine diet altogether. Or if you feel your symptoms aren't very bad, or you're trying to ease some seasonal allergy woes, you could even just start by emphasizing lower histamine foods, slowly and eventually replacing all high histamine foods for a period of time. Here are my tips for reintroducing high histamine foods once you've done the elimination portion of the diet. Number 1 is to consult your doctor. Always discuss your reintroduction plan with a healthcare professional to ensure it's safe for you and your medical history. 2, start slow. Begin with a small portion of one high histamine food at a time, ideally just 1 bite on the first day, 3 bites on the second day, and a half serving on the third day, if you continue to tolerate it. This time delay helps you monitor your body's reaction without overwhelming your system. 3, keep a food diary. Document what you eat and any symptoms you experience. This can help you identify patterns and limits and any specific triggers. 4, choose fresh over processed. Opt for fresh whole foods rather than processed ones or even processed versions, as they're less likely to contain added preservatives and other potential triggers. 5, stay hydrated. Drinking enough water can help your body process and eliminate histamine more efficiently. 6, monitor your symptoms. If you notice any adverse reactions, stop consuming the food and consult your healthcare provider. 7, consider timing. Above all, try to reintroduce new foods when you're not stressed or dealing with other health issues, as these can exacerbate your symptoms and cause a false negative. A calm, stable environment can make it easier to accurately assess how your body reacts to one food or another. And that's all she wrote. Thank you for watching this video, and if you'd like to see more content around histamine issues and low histamine recipes, please join my email list and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next one.